Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Time for It's About You radio show here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. It's the It's About You radio show. I'm your host, Maurice McDonald. And every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have the honor, privilege, and pleasure to have this platform to share information designed to motivate, inspire, and help you be the greatest person you can possibly be. And each Tuesday morning, I start out with my morning quote of the day. And this is no different. My quote of the day says, discomfort is always a necessary part of the process of enlightenment. Let me say that again. Discomfort is always a necessary part of the process of enlightenment. And that's by none other than someone by the name of Pearl Cleage, Cleage. Think about this. Every morning you wake up, sometimes there's some discomfort, but sometimes discomfort is necessary. It's a necessary part of your enlightenment for you to make it. We got to come out of our comfort zone. The comfort zone is your broke zone. The comfort zone is your zone where there's no growth, stagnation. So if you're being stagnant in your life, sometimes it's time to get uncomfortable and come out of that zone. So that is your morning quote of the day, brought to you by MauriceMcDonald.net, MauriceMcDonald.net, MauriceMcDonald. Go there, MauriceMcDonald.net, and learn all about your amazing gut microbiome, because all disease begins in the gut. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a guest today, somebody I've known for about the last 2 years. We met in church, and that's a great place to meet, where I worship. I'm one of the I guess leaders, so to speak, but hey, we're all leaders in the process. But someone who's helped me to welcome people, because people come into church broken. The church is full of sick people. They come there tore down, beat up. Life has kicked them around. The past is kicking them, and so when they come in, they need to see people who are saying, "I accept you who you are." And this lady, let me tell you, she is by no means, she's fascinating. She's a mom. She's part of a large company, which we won't mention the name of the company she works for, but she's well educated out of Chicago. Yes, Chicago. So I'll let her tell a little bit about herself for sure. But her name is Bes McGee. And something else about Bes. I started following her on Instagram. And let me tell you, every morning I'm looking forward to seeing her. And it starts with, good morning. She starts with that. And I don't even know he need to hear this, but, and man, she's dropping nuggets. So I decided, you know what? It's time for me to have her on the show. So good morning, Bes. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing amazing, especially with that phenomenal phenomenal greeting introduction. That was amazing. Thank you.
All true, because I have been watching you, not only seeing you as we're serving other people, walking through those doors and helping them to be a small part of helping them to hopefully transition their lives. Because sometimes a smile, a greeting from somebody, and then they leave out. You want them to leave out better than when they came in. And so you've been so instrumental in serving and doing what you have to do. But tell my audience a little about who you are and who is Bes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a loaded question. I feel like I can take that so many different directions, but just a little bit about me. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2022. As you mentioned, I am a mom. I have a beautiful 3-year-old little baby boy. I am a culture curator, a diversity, equity, and inclusion leader. I also, in addition to serving in church, I also serve within my community as well, whether it's, through my own doing or through, connections with my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I just always try to, in whatever way give back and do my part to bring God's purpose that he put into me out to other people. And so I feel like I do that, whether it's through my podcast or just those morning inspirations, because honestly, for a minute, everybody like, oh, you speaking to me, but low key, I'm speaking to me too. I'm really talking to me. So I started the morning inspiration just as a way to encourage people that no matter where you are right now at this very moment in life, you always have the ability to be more and do more. And I know that to be factual, because God didn't just create for no reason. He created with intention, and we all have a purpose. And so I just always try to do my part to help people understand that, or help people to recognize that they do have purpose no matter what's going on in life.
Yes, absolutely. Having that purpose. And I notice when I'm listening to you on Instagram, and I'm hearing you saying things like, I don't know who needs to hear this. And usually it's me. And usually that lets me know that other people need to hear it as well. Because oftentimes there are people that wake up in the morning stuck from the day before. They wake up, the failure they had, the temporary setback, the divorce, the grief, the trauma from the past they have that has not been put in check yet. And they come in with all financial issues and lots of other things they wake up with in the morning feeling like I'm not worthy. And so why I think it's quite appropriate when I start out my show every morning with the morning quote of the day, helping people to understand. And I think the one that I shared with today a few minutes ago, which talks about that discomfort. Discomfort is always a necessary part of the process of enlightenment. Can you speak on that a little bit about that comfort zone or that process? What is it like to you or for you?
Yeah, that's such a relevant topic, especially in my life right now. Growing does require for you to be uncomfortable. And initially, when I think back to just me growing up and how, the trajectory of my life back then, I don't know if we get into that now or if you have
absolutely feel free.
Okay.
Right
Yes.
now, yes.
So just an example I can kind of give is me growing up. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, second oldest of 7. My mom was a single mom for majority of my childhood. And so growing up on the south side of Chicago, I just kind of feel like you only knew what you were around. School wasn't necessarily a priority for me because I was helping my mom. The oldest girl is always kind of ends up being that second mom, especially when you're born in circumstances that just, don't help you. You don't have the resources. And so my mom really needed my support and help growing up. So I spent a lot of time helping her care for my siblings and even caring for my mom because she does have disabilities as well. So school wasn't a priority for me. And I just kind of felt like, well, I'll never be that person that I see on TV or that person that is able to drive in a car and, pull up to a house and be able to live in a space where we know what we're going to eat from day to day. We know that we're going to have a safe place to lay our head. That just wasn't the reality that I had growing up. And so it wasn't until my mom moved us out of Chicago for the first time because, there was a unfortunate situation that happened involving my brother. And my brother is very, very neutral. He's not involved in anything. But the area that we lived in, it requires for you got to claim something. You got to be a part of something. And so the circumstances were really dangerous for my brother. So my mom saw an opportunity for us to kind of get out of that. And she moved us to Wisconsin as I was a junior in high school when she moved us to Wisconsin. Now, the environment that environment, being one of very, very few Black people or people that just look like me in general, I felt so misunderstood because I'm going from a place where, in school, nobody's checking on you. Nobody's making sure you come to school. There's no truancy if you're not showing up. They just going to tell you, hey, you don't want to be educated. We not going to bother you. It is what it is. You could skip school and nobody say anything about it. But for my case, I didn't come to school because I'm taking care of my mom and my siblings. And there wasn't a second thought about it. And so when we moved, it kind of was the same pattern of behavior again. But this time I'm in an environment where they don't understand circumstances that don't align with the majority. And so I was sent to an alternative high school and kind of written off as she doesn't want to do anything. She doesn't want to go anywhere. She doesn't want to do anything with her life. She's an at-risk youth. I know we hear that a lot, at-risk youth. And so they just kind of wrote me off versus really taking the time to understand the circumstances and the challenges that were faced against me. But then I went to the alternative high school as my last chance to graduate. And on that first day, my instructor said, she told everybody, she's like, you're going to graduate, at least high school. You're going to graduate and you're going to be successful. And I'm going to ensure that you have the resources to be able to do that. And when I say she literally broke down every obstacle, she helped me turn what I viewed as an obstacle into a stepping stone for success for me. And so, when you talk about the heart that comes with growth, it's like, yeah, she provided those resources and stuff for me to be able to grow, but I had to put myself in the mindset of it. So I'm like still choosing family over my education, still choosing to stay at home, maybe not show up, not properly communicate. And I had to change my behavior to say, now you have the opportunity placed ahead of you. I know what was behind you and I know what you've been through, but now you're at a point where you can have a little bit more flexibility in terms of showing up. And maybe your mom may not need you on a Thursday or putting in extra work somewhere else. And it was hard. And often I wanted to give up and say, I just want to move back to Chicago. Like this much wasn't required of me. And I had to push past that. I had to push past that hard to be able to find a space for myself. And so, but also I will say before I pass it back to you is that hard didn't stop after that. Because then when I graduated, another hard just presented itself because I wanted to do more. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to, have a career, a successful career. And the hard didn't stop. You just continue to find ways to be able to deal with it and rise above it no matter what it is.
Wow, let me tell you, I'm just sitting here already because you've said some terms that bells and just ringing in my head right now. When you talked about the heart doesn't stop. The heart never stops. Even people, quote unquote, who supposed to have it all together, that came from that traditional family, got money, got status, got this, got clout. The heart doesn't stop. Heart keeps coming at us. And you mentioned about those obstacles, the stepping stones, because the alternative school, my listeners know that I'm a former high school counselor at a Title I school. For those who don't know what a Title I school is, that's a school where you have free and reduced lunch, usually people of color, Hispanic, Asian, African American school, low performing schools, and all the stereotypes that come out of there. But greatness comes from those schools. And so when people would say to me, oh, that school you're at, oh, I bet you had to carry a weapon in that school because those bad kids and all that stuff. And even alternative schools having to send children to alternative schools for whatever reason. So I'm so glad that first and foremost that you're being transparent with your story. Because understand, it sounds like you came across some good educators or counselors or teachers that believed in you or plugged in, allowed you to be who you were, but they told you day one, oh, you graduated. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that's such a good question. It was a different type of experience for me because, like I said, coming from where I grew up at, you didn't have people that went above and beyond. And you're like, why are you doing this for me? Initially, it feels weird. It feels like, you're going to want something from me after this. You're going to ask me for some money or something after you help me. So that was different. But what I found is that, they didn't just show up for me one time or say it one time. They were consistent in supporting me. So when I wasn't able to come to school, I'm getting phone calls like, hey, Bes McGee, where you at? Do you need a ride? Okay, do you have bus tickets? Okay, do you need somebody to come and pick you up? And it didn't just stop in high school, because then even after I graduated and I went to college and I started my first year of college, I still had a college advisor, or an advisor that was with me in high school, who was the continuous support and letting me know, anytime you feel like things are getting difficult, come and talk to me. Don't wait till the last minute till you like, okay, I'm done with this, I want to move. But come and talk to me. So I think that, having people there I had to open myself up to understanding that it is possible for people to be there that are not your family, that will be there for you and that's not going to ask you for anything, just going to provide you those resources and really want to see you succeed, because that was different for me. And it's not like a shade on my family or anything, but I feel like people only know what they're taught. You can only be there for somebody to the capacity that you're able to. And my family just was not able to do that. I'm not saying that makes them bad or anything. I feel like you only know what you taught. You only have what you have. So that was definitely different for me. But I saw, educators that are really invested in ensuring that kids, succeed. It goes way beyond the classroom. It's those phone conversations. It's those hidden conversations of so many times I go to school just carrying so much, just wishing somebody would just say, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing today? And finally, one day, my instructor, and now, mind you, this is going to class, showing up at this alternative high school, low-key kind of having an attitude, because I would rather be working right now. I'd rather be, doing something else to support my family or support me rather than being in this school. But one day I just remember I was carrying so much. And even though at the time I didn't really know what a true relationship with God looked like, I knew of God. I was raised in a church. I knew of God. So I would just be like, God, I wish somebody saw me. It wasn't in depth. It wasn't in depth at the time. God, I wish somebody saw me. I wish somebody was there for me. I wish I felt like I had some support. And then one day I walk into class and my teacher just asked me, she says, how are you doing today? And I literally remember just bawling my eyes out and just telling her everything that I was dealing with, the pressure to succeed, but also the pressure to bring other people along. It was so much. And just be her asking me that question and finally me releasing that for the first time, because I felt safe enough to do so. I don't know if I felt safe enough to do so, or I was just so, filled up that it didn't even matter. It just was an outlet for me. But it just was important for me to have people that were consistently there for me, those educators that, took the time to go that above mile to check on me and ensure my success.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that, number one, you gave God the little small still voice. He heard you. You said it was simple, but that's exactly how God wants us to come. Simple and humble as we know how. God, I just wish somebody would acknowledge me. Just ask me how I'm doing. He said, got you. Okay, here it is. And then he's like, oh, he heard you. Yes. So for folks who are listening right now, yeah, you may not know how to pray. You might not know all the big scriptures. You might know, all you know is, God, I need to know you hear me. I need to know that you care about me. And out of all the millions of people, they say every hair on your head is numbered. God knows every single one of them. And from the time of conception, the fact that we come in the world a winner, because out of all the thousands and thousands of sperm cells, guess what? You found the egg. So you came in a winner. And sometimes along the way, life will smack us around. People will smack us around, not necessarily physically, but emotionally. And they act like they don't see you. And sometimes it's not the family. Family do the best they can. Everybody got a story, it's his story or her story. That's exactly what it is. And what I'm hearing you say is that people, those educators, made you feel like you were important. Because you were and you are. And that journey that you overcame some things. Not only did you graduate from college, how many degrees do you have now?
I feel like I've had about 5, because I started at the tech college, which was one of the greatest decisions that I could ever make, was starting out at a tech college, because that really just kind of, everything is so hands-on. So for the type of learner that I am, it was perfect. So I got my marketing degree from a tech college, and then I went on to get my bachelor's degree in integrative leadership. And then I went on to get my master's degree, one in international business and the other in strategic human resources. So I 4.
Yeah. See, I hope my listeners are hearing this. You see, it is not where you start. Mm-hmm. Everybody got a starting point. Because you're looking at or listen to a person, number one, that dropped out of college, myself, to want to find myself. But really, my mama said, you, as a sophomore, she said, you chasing a skirt. It's a girl. What's her name? And she was right. That's exactly what it was. I didn't want her to be right. But the idea, that journey, pushing through and doing the same thing and continuing getting those degrees, same thing, going to transferring to a community college, then getting my bachelor's degree and master's degree, and then getting certifications, and now teaching, becoming so it's that journey of seeing people like myself. People, I've always wanted to reach out to individuals that, number one, who may be a little lost or out there not unsure, but I put it that way. Help them find their purpose, help them to find their goals, and encourage them to keep pushing, because along the way it's scary and you want to quit. For some people, I can't do this. You start hearing the voices from the past, and then they find themselves going, well, I don't know if I could do this, if I can do this, and setbacks happen, temporary setbacks. And sometimes it's a 1 or 2 year break before you go back and finish that journey. Life happens. It comes at us. And I'm glad to hear you say that, number one, you didn't just stop where you were and focus on, because especially coming from Chicago, there's a stereotype. When people say South Side of Chicago, and me, the same thing, as a little boy, born in North Carolina, raised in the Bronx, New York, going to school in the South Bronx, and the South Bronx is like the South Side of Chicago. It's, it's the hood, and it is people where you gotta, like you said, you gotta represent somewhere along the line. You gotta learn to defend yourself, fight, go to school, do something, because nobody's giving you nothing. And they come at you, and I kept telling myself, I can do that. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I gotta keep going for it. And becoming a law enforcement officer, I never thought that was going to be one, but I found out it was a free chance to get an education.
Yeah.
And I took it. And it was right where God wanted me to be, because I was good at it and I enjoyed it, helping people. So along your journey that you've been through, what have been some challenges you've overcome as well?
First challenge I would say is the belief that I can actually do it. I think there's always that voice in your head that's like, oh, I'll never be able to do this. Or when you think about what it takes, right? I remember talking to my advisor, and an advisor that is still in my life today. Like I literally just hit him up. I was like, I need some brotherly advice. He was like, I got you. But I just remember so often talking to my advisor saying, this is too much. Like, what's the quickest program? Even when I went to college, right? I still wasn't in this mindset of like, oh, I'm going to be so successful. I remember sitting in his office saying, what's the quickest degree I can get that's going to make me the most money? And he was like, oh, well, nursing or dental hygiene. So in my mind, I said, okay, well, I know I can't do nursing, but I could probably do dental hygiene, because nursing might be a little bit too much for me. I'm a little queasy. So I took on the dental hygiene major, and I remember he said, let's set up some job shadows, so that to give you a glimpse into what that life looks like, because I never really experienced it, and so, or saw it for myself. And so I remember going to a job shadow, and it was like a pediatric dentist office, and I was shadowing the dental hygienist, and she was doing a cleaning on a little kid who had, when I say this kid had like 2 rows of teeth, like I'm not even kidding. And I said, oh my God, this is not for me. I went in on Monday and changed my major just like that. But the challenge one was, I didn't even really, I just thought like, okay, I graduated from high school. What now? I still wasn't set that I could do more and be more. So even that took time. But the greatest challenge was believing in myself, and also getting over that imposter syndrome, because you going to school with kids every day whose parents have professional jobs, and they have so much going for themselves. And sometimes it makes you question, like, do I deserve to be here? Or is this a right fit for me? Will I be successful? I don't know all that they know, So that was one challenge. that I overcame. But then also, I feel like just the continuous desire to be like a lifelong learner and continue to improve even after the successes. Still saying, I don't, after that, I feel like I got so tied to attaching success to milestones. Like, oh, I graduated. Now what's next? Okay, I got a good job. Now what's next? And it felt like I just a continuous desire to achieve versus create, momentum to sustain it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a challenge as well. If I answer your question, I hope I answered it.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah, you absolutely did, because that part so many people get lost in. Mm-hmm. They got those challenges. I'm in the middle of this. How do I get out? I don't know what to do, and they get lost and uncertainty, and then doubt creeps in, and then sometimes they quit.
Yes.
It's that piece of, I don't know, I can't do this, and sometimes it's 4 or 5 years before they can figure out what's happening, get discouraged. You got negativity that's happening, and you look at what you think success of others.
Yeah.
And then we start judging. I'm not like them. I'm not as smart as them. I'm not as cute as them. Or I'm overweight. They're not. All kinds of things start creeping in the mind. The doubt, that cesspool of doubt, I call it, and I'm stuck there, and now I don't believe in myself anymore. Or I may make good money, but I'm in a career I can't stand. I don't like this, But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Did you know all disease begins in the gut? That's right. Your gut is the gateway to your better health. But modern diets and stress can lead you to be out of balance. Introducing Love Biome, your all-natural solution for a healthier you. Love Biome is scientifically formulated to nourish, restore your gut microbiome with prebiotics, postbiotics, and probiotics, all made naturally clean ingredients, no filters, no chemicals, just pure wellness. Boost your immune system, strengthen your life daily with Love Biome. Simply go to MauriceMcDonald.net. That's MauriceMcDonald.net, and learn all about your gut microbiome. That's MauriceMcDonald.net, and learn about the all-natural ingredients from all over the world to help you have a better gut microbiome. Okay, guys, we're back. We're back here on the It's About You radio show, WDRB Media, voice of the community. I have my guest here with me, Miss Bes McGee. She just finished laying out the groundwork of her life. Things have been happening, overcoming all the challenges that's been there. And I know you've been blessed by what she's been saying. But Bes, I know that you're in the middle of doing a lot of things or for the company that you work for. Matter of fact, a Fortune 500 company, a huge company worldwide at that. And you are involved with, you said, the diversity and inclusion, correct? Absolutely. But along those lines, what is it you think you could encourage my listeners? And by the way, this is basically all over the country, from New York to LA, Mexico, all the way up to Canada. People will be hearing you. What is it you want them to know going forward that they can accomplish with a mindset that can help them grow?
That's a good one. First, I would say to trust in God.
Come on.
That's hard. That right there. But you gotta have faith in God, especially, when you're navigating uncharted territory. You've never been there. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's next. Trusting in God is so important because He's always going to be that safe space in the midst of chaos. That quiet spot in the midst of a storm. So that's one. And then also, I would say to make sure that you surround yourself with people that are either going in the direction that you want to go, are already in that direction, because that's important for transforming your life and moving to the next level. I feel that even just in the space that I'm in, we always want to bring people along. And sometimes people are not equipped to come along the journey that we're on. Or sometimes you may carry them in the form of baggage with you along your journey because you care about them and you want to include everybody. You want everybody to be successful, but you are in charge of your own happiness. Joy starts and should end with you. And I feel like, if you're constantly focused on bringing other people along and making sure everyone else feels this sense of success or happiness, that's not good for you. And so I would just say, trust in God and ensure that you're doing the best thing for you and to secure your happiness in your future, because ultimately that's what's going to matter at the end of the day.
That is a perfect one to start with. The first one you came out was trust in God, because a lot of times for some people who God is the last person to trust in, and God is the last resource, and God needs to be first. And those that don't know God, first of all, let's listen. That's a starting point right there. Get to know, because as you said earlier, when you wanted somebody to recognize God, let somebody recognize me. And he said, got you. I got somebody here. And reaching out to having God first in your life to help you go through the tough times, the difficult times, the scary times, because they're coming. The times people are criticizing you, the times of your setbacks, the times of your doubt. I love when you said that. And then also, sometimes we're trying to carry people with us that should not be carried. Mm-hmm. We're trying to put people in spaces that was only designed for us to go through. Yeah, I see good potential in you. Come on, we can do this and we can do that. I'm reminded of the story of the Judge Mathis. Everybody knows his story, perhaps on the television. He grew up, I guess, in Detroit and was tough life, same things, part of a gang with the people. And he, long story short, he met Reverend Jesse Jackson at the time, who was running for president. Jesse Jackson basically told him, boy, you need to go to school. I want to help you. He said, no, you're not qualified yet. He ended up going to college, got his degree, came back to his homeboy saying, listen, we can change this again. And they beat him up because you no longer one of us. He had changed, and he was trying to carry them for a destination that was only designed for him to go. Mm-hmm. And so that story, when you mentioned that, so we got to learn to let some people go, even though we love them, we care about them, they're best friends, they could be family members, but we can't carry people that don't want to go your direction. So when you said find people that are already where you want to go, mentorship, and sometimes they don't look like you, they don't look like us. Total, could be a different race, could be a whole different gender.
Yeah.
But somebody there. I remember you mentioned about your advisor. He's still in your life. Hey, I need some big brother advice. And he was there for you. Sounds like he's there for you. So he's still in your life.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. I think that is so important. And I feel like, I don't know if it's a mentality. Now help me out, Maurice. I don't know if it's a mentality of like when you come from like a struggle, it's like this desire. You hear all the time, like in rap, in music, like I want to put my people on. I want to, but that is not our way to carry.
That's right.
It's not our way to carry, and people will let you bring them along, knowing that they only serve as baggage. And now you wondering why you can't get to where you want to be, why you can't save your money and spend properly, why you can't, because you got so many ties and people that just want to harp off of what you created. But it's not your job to go back and obviously, if you have the ability to, maybe have the resources to be able to help people, but then you also have to be cognizant of the people who's just so eager to accept your help versus asking you, how did you do that? Because not only you're sure I'll accept your help, but I want to be able to replicate this type of success in my own life. So be wary of those people that's just so willing to receive the help and so willing to ask, but never, wanting to replicate that for themselves.
Absolutely. And that heavy baggage, you're carrying weight. When you first start lifting weights, they tell you don't try to lift too much weight. Do more reps. Lighter weight, more reps. Now I'm going to lift all this weight up, and now you pull a muscle, your back is out. Now you can't work out. Well, people are the same way. You're trying to carry somebody 150 pounds, 200 pounds, and they got 5,000 pounds of emotional baggage. And they're not letting go of it, and you're trying to help carry all of that. Come on, you can do it. You become a cheerleader for them, and they don't want to be cheered. They want to mooch off of you, drain you emotionally, drain you financially, because every time you turn around, you got to give them some money for this and that, and they're not trying to go where you're going. And I see so much potential. We can do this, and you can't get through the door.
Yes.
Because can't. So sometimes I got to let some people go.
And don't feel guilty about it.
Don't
feel bad, because I would feel bad. And then sometimes you may even hear them hit you with you think you better than everybody else, because even though you came from the same circumstances, you didn't have no additional support or anything. Sure, you probably had a little bit worse. But now that you are saying, no, I'm not going to allow, you're setting boundaries. I'm not going to allow you to use me as a crutch. I'm not going to allow you to just continue to eat off my plate and then leave my plate empty to replenish on my own.
Yes. Yes.
You have to not feel guilty about that, because sometimes you might feel a little guilty.
Right. Not feeling guilty because of you have to rescue yourself. We have to be part of our own rescue first. In the airplane, they always tell you, put your mask on first before you can help the person with you. If you're in the plane with anybody who's traveled before, every flight, they're going to come give you a demonstration. In case we lose altitude, the mask is going to come down. You say, oh, I'm going to put it on my mother first. I'm going to put it on my child first. No. They say you wear your mask.
Yes,
because
and they'll specifically call you out.
Yep.
When I get in the plane with my son, they say, hey, Mom, just let you know, make sure you put on your mask first.
Yep. See, as a reminder, that point, hey, listen, I know you got to run. I just appreciate the information that you've shared so far today, and we're going to have to do this again. I see a follow-up. I see some things coming up, and I just want to let you know I love how you serve at church. And I go ahead and plug that elevation. That's what it is, an elevation. That's what we do, helping people to get closer to God, far from God, to be close to Him, with that said. So we're going to continue this at another time, and I appreciate you sharing this. We're going to take a quick break, guys, and we'll be right back.
Did you know your gut is the gateway to your health? That's right, all diseases begin in the gut, but modern diets and stress can leave it out of balance. Introducing Love Biome, your all-natural solution for a healthier you. Love Biome is scientifically formulated to nourish and restore your gut microbiome with probiotics and postbiotics, all made from clean, natural, organic ingredients sourced worldwide. No fillers, no chemicals, just pure wellness. Boost digestion, strengthen immunity, and feel more energized every day. Love Biome will balance and detoxify your gut. With Love Biome, you're not just supporting your gut, you're supporting a happier, healthier life. Go to mauricemcdonald.net to get started today. That's MauricemcDonald.net.
We're back, guys, for the It's About You radio show here on WDRBmedia.com. Listen, this has been a powerful session today, as usual. We just finished talking with Miss Bes McGee, outstanding woman, great young lady, woman of God, and also working in a professional setting, mom, the whole picture. You heard her story, and I want to pick up on some things, key points that we finished up talking about carrying people. Ask yourself this question: who are you trying to carry? Who are you trying to take through the doors that are not ready to go through the doors yet? Who are you pushing and carrying and encouraging, and they're not doing it? They're not ready yet. Could it be holding you back for your greatness? Maybe you're not where you're supposed to be because you're trying to carry somebody that doesn't want to be carried. Sometimes we have to do an evaluation and say, wait a minute, this door is meant for me to go through only. Not that I don't care about them, not that I don't love them, not that they're not important to me, but I first, as we left off talking about putting that mask on first. Put that mask on yourself. See what God has for you to do and be about that. Get busy living that platform and pick up on them when they're ready to go, because oftentimes they're not ready. And what better way than to focus on yourself and be ready to move forward, as opposed to trying to carry someone, something, some purpose. Or maybe you're going down a path that you're not supposed to be on, something you want to be, but that's not God's plan for you. Also, I want to pick up on something that she shared earlier about obstacles, stepping stones, turning obstacles into stepping stones. Because see, problems are what you see when you take your eye off your goal, when you take your eye off your purpose. It's an obstacle, but how do I turn that into a stepping stone? See, oftentimes if you're crossing a creek and there's stones in the creek, okay, those stones have been there for many years. And sometimes you can cross over by stepping on the stones and not get wet and move on, as opposed to complaining about the obstacle or complaining about the stone. Oftentimes, we must find that purpose and continue to step on the stones and turn them into the stepping stones, what used to be an obstacle. It may be the fact sometimes an obstacle could be you don't have the training. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need to take a course. Maybe you need to learn. Some of you have been, you're great cooks. You've been talking about going back to school. I ought to do this, and you start saying, I'm too old, I ain't got the money. You start finding excuses to avoid your greatness. And is that time now? It is time that you step out on faith, go back to school. Some of you, whatever it may be, find your niche. Some of you have been talking about all the trouble kids got in school. They doing this, and these kids these days, and you got all this great wisdom and all the things. Maybe it's time for you to step out and start serving in school, volunteering. Or start volunteering in your local church. Instead of sitting on the sideline complaining, maybe it's time for you to help some other individuals step out on faith and go into our public schools. Because they're always looking for volunteers. They're always looking for people to join an organization that may be serving and mentoring in our schools or in the church or wherever it is. Step out on faith, and now you find your purpose. And stop looking for excuses. Well, I don't feel like doing. I can't. Because if you're looking for an excuse, you can always find 5 or 6 of those excuses. They'll be right there for you. It is important that you go out here, find your niche, overlook the obstacles, step on the stepping stones, as she talked about. Coming from an alternative school that she went through. She shared that story in her life growing up in the south side of Chicago. And it wasn't easy. And people judging you. Because oftentimes when you step out, take that first step to start serving other people, your purpose will be found. Because oftentimes people get into the school system. Because I know as a professional school counselor at the Title I schools I mentioned earlier, free and reduced lunch. There was students in gangs, teenage pregnancies, and all the kids. But once you got into the setting, I saw other volunteers coming in different organizations, helping out, serving the young people. And I know hearing them talking to me about their lives, because oftentimes we judge young people. Children these days, these kids these days, oh my Lord, they always, listen, many of them, when you get them one-on-one, when you get a chance to hear them, because not going in as their parent, trying to tell them what to do, what they think you ought to do, but actually listening to them. That children want to be heard. I will tell that to anybody. Children want to be heard. They want to know that you hear them, that you validate them. You don't judge them, how they dress, the purple hair they have, and the tattoos they may have, or the nose rings or the piercings they may have. Because once you get caught up in, man, they look a hot mess, and they have to take that mess out of their face. Listen, Take your dipper out of their bucket. Children these days want to be heard, and that you're not judging them because they've heard the judgment already. And you plug in with them and being able to meet them right where they are, ask them about their needs, about their concerns and their goals, and you get to share with them. Because once, and listen, you've heard this saying before. If not, you're going to hear it today. Children don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. If they know you care about them and that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, meeting them where they are. Yeah, sure, the hair is purple. The hair might be green. The other side may be yellow or whatever they're going through. End of the day, it's part of that. Think about you as a young person. I know my father and my mother, that afro. Oh, my God, you got that afro back in. Go get a haircut. And I come back and he said, I thought you were getting a haircut. Well, I did get a cut, Well, that was part of self-expression. Teenagers do those kinds of things and children. But find that niche, because oftentimes children don't have that grandparent, that grandfather, or that father, that mother, that uncle, or somebody to care about them. Not that you're trying to be that, but somebody that comes in and actually listens to them, didn't judge them, hear them, because you don't know what you may say that may impact them, to impact their lives, to make them want to try to do something totally different. Coming out of the comfort zone. Going back to the quote that I said earlier today. The quote that said, discomfort is always a necessary part of the process of enlightenment. Being uncomfortable. And oftentimes we have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. To be out here to help somebody else, to pour into somebody else, to help them see the obstacles that are in front of them, the excuses. How many young ladies have been told because they got pregnant, you're going to be nobody. You're going to be this and that. You messed around and got yourself knocked up. You got pregnant, and oftentimes, unfortunately, some places of worship ready to throw her out of the church because she got pregnant and she's in school and she's 15 years old and the judgment and all those things. Yet that individual doesn't know how to be a mom. They're not equipped to handle it yet. They need somebody to actually hear them. And there's so many different organizations and help, and they still got to get educated to know that somebody's going to hear them. Somebody's going to let them talk and express themselves without judging them, without saying, well, what you ought to do is this and that. Remember, find out what they want to do. Because if they're able to express themselves and you can hear them, maybe you will be a part of the first person. You might be the very first person that has ever actually listened to them. And that is so valuable to young people. So valuable. And again, my speaker, Miss Bes McGee, when she talked about the alternative school and how hard it was. Because, there's a label. When you get kicked out of regular school and they go to an alternative school, she used that term earlier about at-risk children. Let me go ahead and clear the message for you. All children are at risk. Not the ones that are poor, not the ones that are just black, not the ones that are Asian, not the one, that are Latinas or my Latin males. Guess what? Even the rich kid, the rich child, they have no, it's not their fault they were born rich. Just like a child who's born poor, not their fault. But people like to label and say at-rich kid, which one they are. Because there are some wealthy kids and preachers' kids, PK kids, kids who, number one, may be using drugs and other things else, come from what we call good homes. Well, what does a good home look like, okay? There are some people who have gone astray, who were raised in the church, they were raised better, and they still made bad choices. How many adults still make some bad choices, okay? So being there, able to, as a sounding board, to let them hear you, and you come out of your comfort zone and go in to help other people discover what their obstacles are. Help them find the stepping stones. Because a stepping stone is a good thing. Yes, obstacles come in front of you. You got choices. Go over them, through them, around them, whatever it is, but you can't stop. And oftentimes people don't know who to turn to. And oftentimes it's not the parent. It could be a neighbor, the football coach. That's why when I hear people talk about cutting out sports programs and everything, do you know how many coaches across America, across the world, so to speak, that soccer coach, that basketball coach, that football coach, that art teacher, that one sister or brother in the church that always was there to help them as a child, and later on as an adult, they look back at that person and with reverence, because that person was always there for me. We heard Miss Bes McGee talking about her advisor, who's still in her life. She's an adult, grown woman with a child, but that individual who was there to support me and be there, there's impact there. And it's important that important for us to know that everybody needs somebody to help them along the way and have a judgment-free zone. Judgment, because there's a lot of times adults are forever known to judge children. And by the way, all of you folks who are saved and Holy Ghost roll and all that kind of stuff, and you filled with the Spirit, you forgot don't forget when you were a kid. Don't forget the things you did as a kid. Don't be so holier than thou now. Just know that the people you're going through now, your purpose is to listen, be a sounding board, find out what their directions are, and connect them to resources. We got to be a conduit to helping connect the dots for children. And don't be so eager to tell everybody, oh, you got to go to college, you got to get a master's degree, got a PhD. As a former counselor, it was something I struggled with. They always talk about career college readiness. And that is important. That is good. Don't get me wrong. But do you know some of the best schools are when young people go to trade school, discover they're good at something. And you're going to make more money sometimes than all these college degrees, and you're not $300,000 in debt. So if a child wants to be a hairstylist, they want to be a massage therapist, they want to be, I know Miss Best talked about that she wasn't the dental hygienist. But guess what? If you've ever been to the dentist, especially, I'm going to talk to my African American students, African American people. Let me tell you this, or people, my Latinas, and I want to talk to my Hispanic population. When was the last time you saw a person of color that's a dental hygienist? We need that. We need dental hygienists that look like everybody. We need individuals who are massage therapy. We need people, the x-ray technician. We need people who are the therapists or whatever it is, helping them to discover and find their niche. That is so important, so powerful to help them find it. Because oftentimes people don't know. They have not been exposed to it. And our young people have not been exposed. So, that's why with me talking with Miss Bes McGee and finding out about some things she had been sharing with, listen, it was so powerful for her to tell her story. That's why I wanted her to be on the show today, to be able to enlighten people. And she's well educated now and works for a major company, and doing quite well. But guess what? Along the way, there were some struggles and some setbacks. And I'm just letting you know, just like those people that in her life that helped her, you can be a conduit. You can be the vessel to help young people moving forward. And sometimes even other adults. As a matter of fact, I know there are people who are adults that are looking to change their career. They have no idea where to go. I want to put you on game. Some of you right now, there's an online program at North Carolina A&T University in Greensboro, North Carolina. They have what's called a program that's fully online to become a surveyor. All buildings, before, during, and after construction, it has to be surveyed. They have a 2-year program and a 4-year program, totally online, helping people to become surveyors. With that said, most surveyors are white men. Well, how do I know that? Because as a former high school counselor, I had the professors at UNC, at North Carolina A&T University, reach out to me because they knew I was at a Title I school, and they wanted me to send people of color to that school online to become a surveyor. And back then, this was, oh my gosh, it was about 6 years ago. And the starting salary for the 2-year degree was $65,000 a year. And to learn that, so you can imagine now it's probably about $70,000 for the 2-year associate's degree. So you could keep your job. The beautiful thing about it is you could keep your job, go online, and learn a new profession as a surveyor. And the 4-year program was 6 figures. So in other words, helping people to reposition themselves. And that's it. And that's if you're an adult. It doesn't matter. So the idea, there may be some obstacles where I got to work. Come out of your comfort zone. Discover your purpose. Read being able to get a part of something you never heard of. And that's for male and female. Seek new opportunities so that you can grow. And now, will it be hard? Absolutely. But like we said earlier, hard always comes. If it's easy, it's sleazy. Just remember, that's what I was told. My mentor said that to me years ago. If it's easy, it's sleazy. Be careful. There is no easy path to success. There's no easy path to growth. There's no easy path of coming out of your comfort zone. And there are people sitting here right now on the sound of my voice. You're making excuses. I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm too young. I'm this. Well, I'm black and nobody in my family ever. Listen, if you want to find an excuse, there's lots of them. All I'm telling you is come out of your comfort zone. Be willing to take a new path, a new direction. Don't make excuses. Make moves. Make moves to come out of that and find those obstacles and make them stepping stones that you can go out and do things and be absolutely great. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back. We're back here on the It's About You radio show on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. Listen, I really, really want to thank you guys for joining in today. I want to thank my amazing guest, Miss Bes McGee, that came and joined us and shared her story with us. The whole idea is about overcoming the obstacles, making them stepping stones, and growing and continuing to grow despite obstacles, despite excuses, despite setbacks, despite failures, despite fear. All of that, guys. I said today's show and every day, every week I'm here, I say it's designed to help you be the very best you can possibly be, to overcome everything, to motivate and to inspire you to move on to greatness. Join us again next week, guys. Each and every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the It's About You radio show. And go to MauriceMcDonald.net. and learn all about your amazing gut microbiome. Until next Tuesday, guys, go out and make it a great week despite all obstacles. And remember, join us next week, same time, because we're going to be in the building.